of New Zealand.
Tonight, first results from Zimbabwe show President Mugabe's ruling party and the opposition neck and neck. Harrowing evidence as the man accused of killing Emma Agnew appears in court. Party pills are less than 2 hours from being illegal, but what will replace them? And a shining example of Goldie goes under the hammer. Kia ora, good evening. The first results from Zimbabwe's election are starting to trickle in, and so far President Robert Mugabe and the main opposition are tied. The delay in announcing the results had fueled speculation about vote rigging. The BBC's Ola Gurin reports from just over the border in South Africa.
They voted and they want results. For the first time, they're on display outside each polling station. Here, a landslide for the opposition, and the MDC is claiming victory nationwide based on partial, unofficial results.
Beyond reasonable doubt, I want to say that the people's victory is on course beyond a shadow of doubt. With absolutely no doubt that we are winning this election.
Nearby, caught in an ambush, the head of Zimbabwe's Electoral Commission, unable to say when official results will come.
I don't know. These are 4 elections. We have never held 4 elections before, so we don't know how long it's going to take us this time.
Eventually, he fled the questions with the help of security men, and there's still no indication of when he'll have the answers. The longer the wait, the more the suspicion about what's going on. In this country of hunger and hardship, many were back in the bread queues today, those that could afford it, hoping they are finally free of the leader who has cost them so much.
People are suffering. We have nothing to do, no jobs, everything. So we think there's going to be a change. We hope it's not going to be rigging KwaZulu there, because we want to win. This time we are winning.
That may be the case, but President Mugabe could still have some tricks up his sleeve, though there is a feeling this election may be too hard to steal. Much depends on the security forces visible on the streets today. The big unknown is what they will or won't do to prop up the regime. The coming days will be critical.
Well, earlier tonight, I spoke to Zimbabwean exile Taz Mukurimbindo, who heads up the Canterbury Business Association in Christchurch. I asked him if he had any hope that Zimbabwe will have a new leader.
I'm not holding my breath about any change at this particular point. I'm not very optimistic that Mugabe will simply walk away from his 30-year rule based on an election that's been held this time around.
We've heard this afternoon reports of rioting on the streets, police on the streets of Harare. If Robert Mugabe does remain in power, can we expect a big uprising from Zimbabweans?
There could be a possibility. The general trend is that there are pockets of uprising within the country. There's never been a general uprising among the population per se, but pockets of discontent do come up, but they're usually quelled quite successfully in the past. That's the history we know.
All right, I want to look at a couple of scenarios with you. Can we really expect any change at all if Robert Mugabe does manage to hold on to power, or just more of the same that we've seen for 28 years?
Now, there will be no change if Mugabe holds on to power. The country has been in a continual decline for 10 straight years, and it's reached rock bottom, but there's prospects for worse. So, no, there is no change in that first scenario at all. Mugabe staying there just means more hardship. He's not prepared to change anything.
Having said that, if he doesn't stay in power, he isn't going to simply be able to walk away from the job, is he? Or walk away from his past?
No, absolutely not. He is now a man who's committed a lot of crimes with his regime, has been quelling opposition and has been involved in the disappearance and sometimes murder of people, and especially those vocal to his regime, and has displaced at least nearly 4 million people. So he's not a man with small crimes to answer for, really. He's caused a big problem for himself.
Let's look at his opposition. If Morgan Changarai gets in, he's got an enormous job ahead of him, doesn't he?
It's a huge task. The country is in shambles. Basically, the economy's come down to a grinding halt. Infrastructure is totally destroyed. And, well, as I said, you know, you've got 4 million people that have fled. So you've got a scenario there where the guy coming into the job has got an enormous task of rebuilding that country.
I was speaking there to Zimbabwean exile Taz Mukarimbindo. In other news, family and friends have heard harrowing details about the last violent moments of deaf Christchurch woman Emma Agnew. The evidence was revealed at a depositions hearing for Liam James Reid, along with the fact that police allege he confessed to the murder in a conversation with his former girlfriend. Vicky Wilkinson-Baker was in court.
Emma Agnew's family turning up to hear details surrounding her death. The 20-year-old's body was found naked in a plantation at Spencer Park last November. She had a sock jammed down her throat which cut off her air supply. There were other signs of violence, bruising round her neck and genital area. The man accused of her murder, 35-year-old Liam James Reid. These were the scenes when he first appeared, but today there were no outbursts. One of the JPs hearing the case warning those in the public gallery that even though the case was upsetting, the dignity of the court needs to be respected. Today, the courtroom was quiet. Liam James Reid sat in the dock on one side of the room, Emma Agnew's family sat on the other side, and friends and members of the deaf community sat quietly at the back. Today, the Crown Prosecutor outlined the evidence, saying the day Emma Agnew disappeared, Reid was staying at a backpacker's near her flat. Emma Agnew had been trying to sell her red Mazda car. That morning, she'd been texting both her mother and brother about an offer to buy it. In fact, in their last exchange around 10 a.m, her brother says, "Has the person looked at the car? If not, get him to look at it." She replies, "Yep, okay." And he doesn't hear from her again. Reid was also sending text messages that morning, and police allege phone records from both Telecom and Vodafone will show they met up and drove out to Spencer Park together. Then, for an hour, the text messaging stopped. Over the next few days, friends and family will hear, with the help of interpreters and sign language, the details of Emma Agnew's last few hours. Vicky Wilkinson-Baker, One News.
Party pills have been selling out in stores across the country in the hours before they're banned. Any containing the substance BZP are illegal from midnight. Heather Duplessis-Allen reports.
Illegal tomorrow, but in hot demand today.
Most other shops that we supply have run out, right out.
This Wellington store's barely shut since Friday, hocking off thousands of the BZP-based party pills for as little as $1.
Yesterday, we through our tills, we calculated we did well over 1,000 sales, individual sales.
From midnight, BZP will be a Class C drug. It'll be illegal to sell them, but it seems unlikely there'll be any left to sell.
And if we've got a few packets left over here and there, whatever, yeah, we'll just take them into the police station.
Unlike those for retailers, the rules are a bit more relaxed for personal use. You'll be fine as long as you have less than 100 pills or less than 5 grams of BZP over the next 6 months. But what then?
They're always going to bring something out that's going to be exactly the same as that, so it doesn't bother me really.
There's always new ones. I mean, you can't beat the chemistry.
BZP-free pills are already on sale and more due to hit shelves by next Monday. But the Drug Foundation isn't convinced they're safe and wants stores to hold off on selling them.
History is repeating itself here, and it looks like we're making the same mistake with these that we did with BZP.
But tonight it's stock clearance time. This Christchurch store's throwing a party to use it all up.
Yeah, we anticipate just having a fun night, inviting all the customers, all our regulars, all our people over the last 5 years.
And like BZP, it's the end for the lab. It'll return as a fish and chip store. This is just some of the 40,000 pills this Wellington store started out with on Friday night. With the amount of people coming through this evening, they'll be sold out by the time the clock strikes midnight. Heather Duplessis-Allen, One News.
Veteran broadcaster Paul Holmes made an emotional plea on behalf of his adopted daughter Millie Elder at Auckland District Court this afternoon. Elder pleaded guilty to possessing methamphetamine, owning a pipe for its use, and knowingly permitting her premises to be used for offending.
Millie is actually the sweetest person. There is so much love for Millie. She has very good friends. Unfortunately, over the past year or so, she's had bad ones.
Elder, who's been undergoing drug rehabilitation, could have been jailed, but instead she was sentenced to 12 months supervision. Security's been beefed up as 12 men appeared in court over the gang-related shooting of a Wanganui toddler. 2-year-old Gia Tatua was killed in the dispute between the mongrel mob and Black Power. The 12, all mongrel mob members or associates, are charged with murder. One other's charged as an accessory. The prosecution says 3 carloads drove past the home with one shooting at the house 3 times.
The bullet hit Gia where she lay sleeping on a couch. Gia was killed instantly. A post-mortem examination later showed that she had been shot through the heart, spine and lungs.
Extra police have been brought in for the depositions hearing at the Wellington District Court. National says if it gets into power, all criminals will be forced to pay $50 into a special victims fund. John Key says the money will cover transport and counselling costs, but the government says the victims will only end up getting small change. Here's Deputy Political Editor Francesca Mould.
Martin pensioner Mona Morris was brutally murdered 3 years ago. That was traumatic for her family, emotionally but also financially. Many are self-employed and had to take a month off work just for her killer's trial.
It does take a toll on yourself and the family.
National wants a new scheme to compensate victims, helping pay for counselling and travel not covered by ACC. Offenders will pay a $50 levy at sentencing. At around 100,000 cases a year, the fund will reach $5 million.
I think is an appropriate scheme to give some support to people who will have suffered horrendous crimes.
Kevin Morris likes the idea.
And I think victims do get a bit lost, and I think this is a good idea myself.
But critics say it's a gimmick. Once admin fees are taken out, victims will only get small change.
The idea that you would charge offenders a flat fee of $50, whether you were a multiple murderer or you'd stolen a bike, is really bizarre.
And there's concern it'll be hard to collect the money from criminals. Around $74 million in reparation owed to victims is still outstanding, up 50% on 5 years ago.
We believe they will pay. Clearly not every fine or every reparation is paid, but a lot will.
National also wants a special victims services unit set up, but the government says leave it to the experts, victim support.
Well, I thought the National Party were the bureaucracy busters.
Victims say they're just grateful for any help.
This goes that extra step further in dealing with all the sorrow.
Francesca Mould, One News.
Well, just ahead, a breakthrough in Iraq as militants are ordered off the streets. And $1 million worth of art goes under the hammer.
On the program tomorrow, we get reaction to the latest business confidence survey. And with the season's grape harvest well underway, will the long hot summer give our winemakers a bumper vintage? Join me at 6 tomorrow morning for Breakfast Business.
Then on Breakfast, US correspondent Tim Wilson has the latest on the presidential race. We'll check out R.E.M's new album.
Our gardening guru tells us how to make a great lawn, and we will examine yet again Waiheke Island's unique character. We'll see you from 6:30 tomorrow morning.
It's not just how we look after your money, it's how we look after you. At the National Bank, it's all part of the service.
The Chrysler 300C delivers a stunning blend of power, economy, and now a beautifully engineered finance offer. From now until March 31st, you can drive away in any new 300C, including the 5.7-liter Hemi V8, the 3.5-liter V6, or the 3-liter diesel, and only pay a third now, a third next year, and a third in 2010, with 0% interest. Chrysler, engineered beautifully.
Cavalier Brimworth. It's what you live your life on.
Bacterial complications from winter colds can be serious. A solution? Buckalin is behind the pharmacist's counter. Take Buckalin tablets now for up to 3 months protection. Ask your pharmacist how Buckalin can help protect from bacterial complications of colds this winter.
The New Zealand Symphony Orchestra welcomes music director Pietre Inkinen to conduct the Audi Tour. Hear Elgar's beautiful cello concerto, magnificently played by Natalie Klein. Concerts in Wellington, Auckland, Dunedin and Christchurch, proudly sponsored by Audi. Book now at Ticketek.
In the beginning, when the creator was giving out stuff, New Zealand slept in. Have I missed much?
Oh, mate, oil, gold, car manufacturing.
Oh, not too much then.
Diamonds, go to South Africa.
You gotta be quick around here.
5 apple lumps. Well done, New Zealand.
And that's how we beat the rest of the world. Big fella. To get these.
Tomorrow on Close Up, the gambling tycoon with a passion for New Zealand art. We take an exclusive tour of his Nelson hideaway. And we meet adventurer Sir Ranulph Fiennes, who, against doctors' advice, is aiming for the ultimate goal, to conquer Everest. That's tomorrow at 7.
Welcome back. The Olympic torch has arrived in China amid tight security. The handing over of the flame and its arrival in Beijing passed off peacefully, although there were coordinated protests around the world to highlight the plight of Tibet. The ABC's Anne-Maria Nicholson reports.
The arrival of the torch in China was a highly symbolic and tightly secured event. From the new airport, it travelled to Tiananmen Square, where democracy protests were violently crushed nearly 20 years ago. But a cordon of heavy security made sure there was no repeat of that. Instead, a highly choreographed ceremony marked the coming of the torch to the Chinese capital. In contrast, protesters in Athens had tried to break a police line protecting the departure of the torch. But it was passed over peacefully from the Greeks who hosted the last Olympics to the Chinese. There was anything but peace on the streets of Kathmandu, where Tibetan exiles voiced their anger at the Chinese.
Stop killing! Stop killing!
Nepali police battered the protesters and detained around 250.
The latest wave of violence in Iraq appears to be over for now after the radical cleric Muqtada al-Sadr ordered his fighters off the streets. Intense fighting has taken place across the country since Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki began cracking down on Shia militants in the southern city of Basra 6 days ago. The escalating violence has claimed the lives of more than 240 people. The move by Muqtada al-Sadr has led to the lifting of a curfew in the capital, Baghdad. The head of the Central Intelligence Agency is warning Al-Qaeda is training new recruits, but they're not who you might expect. General Michael Hayden says these days they favour blonde-haired, blue-eyed people who can easily blend in places like American airports. The ABC's John Hendren has more.
The nation's spy master says the U.S. faces an imminent threat of attack from Al-Qaeda fighters training today along Pakistan's mountainous border with Afghanistan. And the attackers, he says, will look like Westerners.
Wouldn't attract your attention if they were going through the customs line at Dulles with you when you're coming back from overseas.
U.S. intelligence analysts say Al-Qaeda knows it can't return again with an attack by 19 Arabs.
Former U.S. officials say the Bush administration is particularly concerned that attackers bearing European passports would breeze through U.S. airports, knowing that Middle Easterners attract more attention since 9/11.
I think the fact that their current rhetoric is much more aggressive and confident
than it had been over the past year or two, suggests they have the operatives they want to attack the United States.
18 months ago, Pakistan failed in its military campaign to control the restive territory that borders Afghanistan. President Pervez Musharraf then agreed to let the tribal leaders who were accused of sheltering Osama bin Laden police themselves. The result, Hayden says, an absolute disaster that presents a clear and present danger to the United States.
But it's very clear to us that al-Qaeda has been able, over the past 18 months or so, to establish a safe haven along the Afghan-Pakistan border area that they have not enjoyed before, that they are bringing operatives into that region for training.
General Hayden says the United States is doing everything it can to capture or kill bin Laden and al-Qaeda leaders, and there are reports of increased U.S. airstrikes along that lawless border.
The Cambodian-born photojournalist whose story was told in the Oscar-winning movie The Killing Fields has died from pancreatic cancer at the age of 65. Deth Pran was an assistant to American journalists when Cambodia fell to the Khmer Rouge in 1975. He survived a forced labour camp for 4.5 years and then escaped through what he called the Killing Fields, and the term stuck. He moved to the United States, where he became a photographer for the New York Times and an advocate for human rights. Back here now, and a rare collection of 19th century New Zealand artwork went under the hammer tonight, including masterpieces by Charles Goldie and Gottfried Lindau. This Goldie painting of Arawa chieftainess Rapaka sold for $160,000, while these Lindau paintings depicting a Ngātai chief and chieftainess each went for $75,000. The private historical collection is said to be the most important to be sold in New Zealand in the last decade, with the 50 pieces up for grabs fetching close to $1 million. Well, just ahead, a look at tomorrow's weather and newspapers, and tackling the predators eradicating our rarest wildlife.
An eager teenager
He's got a thing for you, if you ask me.
What are you doing now? Brilliant.
finally gets a league over.
You're not a bad-looking lad. You're going to say exactly what I want you to say in court.
And the perfect boyfriend
How's the sexiest barmaid in the Northwest?
turns out to be a player.
How's my favourite Gaysian?
But for whose team?
I saw him with somebody last night playing tonsil tennis.
Misguided minors, lovers and liars.
Slugging the face off Sean.
Coronation Street, Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30, TV1.
When I get home after a hard day, the last thing I want to do is cook. Wattie's new steam fresh meals taste great. And because they're steam cooked, I know they're good for me too. Wattie's, what else?
The moment you see it, your heart starts to pound. A diamond pendant, $499. A classic diamond ring, $249. Objects of desire, exclusive to Michael Hill.
Think about it. How would you like to be pushed, prodded and poked? Pushing cotton buds into your ears can force wax deeper and cause serious harm. New AudiClean is a gentle cleansing spray that disperses wax easily. For a better alternative, make your ears AudiClean.
This, they say, is New Zealand's most expensive bottle of red wine. If you want it, give me a ring. However, if it's getting rid of bad air and condensation in your home that you're after, forget about me. Ring DVS.
DVS, heart of a healthy home.
Is your hair losing the war again? New Fructis Nutri Repair. Stronger hair breaks 7 times less.
Garnier.
Music never looked so good, with more amazing DVD titles. There's Westlife, the #1s tour. The Highwaymen, live in concert. Christina Aguilera, Back to Basics, live and Down Under. Celine Dion, live in Las Vegas. And the best of the Johnny Cash Show. Music never looked so good. Get these great music DVDs now.
Whether it's enjoying a hit on the court or keeping up with the grandkids, staying mobile is important. A key area to look after is your joints, and this is where Joint Care from Nutrilife can help. A scientifically based formula, it harnesses the combined power of 2 natural substances, glucosamine together with high levels of chondroitin. Both help repair joints and protect them too. Great shot! Nutrilife Joint Care at your health food store or pharmacy. Sweat buildup on your shoes creates the perfect environment for bacteria to grow. The result is smelly feet and footwear. Only Grand's remedy is 100% effective against all 5 types of bacteria and fungi known to cause foot odour. It works by killing bacteria on the foot and in the shoe. Once the bacteria is eliminated, you can enjoy odour-free feet for up to 6 months. Grand's remedy, available only from your pharmacy.
Welcome back. A plague of stoats is decimating the wild population of one of the country's rarest birds. There are now fewer than 100 takahe left in Fiordland's isolated Murchison Mountains. In tonight's special report, Alexia O'Brien looks at a new plan to save them from extinction.
This is a very rare sight, especially after scores of our native takahe have been wiped out by feral stoats.
Shock, surprise. It's really hard going out and finding dead birds.
And this is where they're trying to fix that. 2 adult takahe and 5 chicks at Fiordland's Burwood Bush rearing unit.
The numbers are quite low now, so just getting this kind of contact with them is, it's a real privilege.
Numbers so low, the unit's vital for the birds' continuing survival.
The resident parents here actually, have a really important task to foster the chicks and teach them the skills needed to be returned to the mountains.
I'm here in Takahe Valley in the middle of the Murchison Mountains, and it's a pretty historic place for the takahe. It was by this lake right behind me in 1948 that the takahe was rediscovered. Before that, everyone thought they were extinct.
In fact, New Zealand is a world leader in extinction. Since humans arrived 1,000 years ago, more than 1/3 of our land and freshwater birds have become extinct, something these guys are determined won't happen to the takahe.
We should replace the traps on this one, Phil.
Intensive conservation programs like this have halted the bird's decline, and about 70 are kept on offshore predator-free islands because public enemy number 1 is the stoat.
I guess one of the things that made it really surprising is that takahe have actually been observed to kill stoats. So up until recently, no one thought that a 100-gram stoat could take on a 3-kilogram takahe and bring it down.
She's definitely moving around anyway.
A recent census found takahe numbers in some areas are down by almost 60%, and that's a lot for a bird with a total population now just over 200.
We found 94 birds. We were hoping to find about 160. These things make a good bang.
Stoat traps are laid in about 1/3 of the conservation area, but after such devastating news, the trapping program's being extended to the full 50,000 hectares. It will be the biggest stoat control area in the country.
What we've discovered with this last year is that within this trapped area that we have, which is about 15,000 hectares, that we had a 2% increase in the number of takahe, even though we had a stoat plague. So we're pretty confident that these traps are effective and work very well.
So takahe can continue to stamp their mark for years to come. Alexia O'Brien, One News.
OK, let's take a look at your morning headlines now. The Herald leads with Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe defiantly clinging to power despite an apparent landslide loss in elections. And New Zealand First is donating the $158,000 that it unlawfully spent at the last election to charities. The Don Post leads with former Prime Minister Mike Moore landing a job chairing a Russian billionaire's charitable foundation. And Kiwi golfer Tim Wilkinson celebrated his biggest payday with a meal at McDonald's. The press leads with a man charged with murdering Emma Agnew, allegedly admitting his crimes to his then-girlfriend, a court has heard. And a West Coast man trapped upside down in his car as it teetered on the edge of a cliff has his mother to thank for his rescue. The ODT leads with a company involved in developing wind farms in Australia and Europe is investigating a wind farm near, wait for it, Wyndham. And Dunedin City Council has exceeded its deadline over property purchase contracts for the Awatea Stadium site. So that's what's in your papers. Now to the weather. It's not that flash, actually. The rain is falling too.
The following program is rated adults only. It contains language that may offend and violence that may disturb some people.